Welcome back. Right, I thought it might be time to actually do some hacking. I know we're kind of jumping into it, but let's start with some, I call it fairly straightforward hacking. We can then expand on and look at various tools and what we're doing and so on. So today I thought I'd go through the virtual machine Mr. Robot. It's quite old, I think 2016, something like that. Classed as kind of easy to intermediate. So let's take a look at it. Right, first thing we're going to need to do is download some software. Whoops, jumping ahead of myself. Grab yourself a copy of VirtualBox if you haven't already got it. You may well know make use of something else, Proxmox, like I do, Hyper-V, so on, but I'm going to show you a quick little bit of what you can get from VulnHub and download onto VirtualBox. So grab yourself a copy. Pretty much every platform's catered for. Installation, I'll take a look at the documentation. I'll leave you with that one. Then we head over to VulnHub. Lots and lots of machines you can download. Some are a bit trickier to set up than others. Ideally, you're looking for an over file if you're using VirtualBox, although you can use that and do a few things with it to get into Proxmox. But we'll just concentrate on VirtualBox for now. So, on VulnHub, just search robot. See, I've already done. We're looking for the first result that comes up, Mr. Robot 1. Click on that. You can see you've got a download link. It's not too big, 704 meg. And then you get a description as well of what's going on with that machine you're going to download. So you've got 3 keys here, various locations. And no, it's a little easy, then tricky, then easy. I have done this machine before, although it was quite some time ago. So download the over. Quit out of that. And then you should have this Mr. Robot over file. Yeah, I've already downloaded it earlier. So if you've got VirtualBox installed, just double click on the Mr. Robot over. And then what you should get is there we go. This box. If you import something in a different way, if you go into VirtualBox first, you can click on an import. Then there's somewhere in your local file system, you go away and find that over. In settings, you can sort of tweak a few things to start with, but in all truth, you'll be tweaking things that aren't accessible here anyway later on. So click finish, let it do its thing. But yeah, there you go, VirtualBox giving you some feedback on what it's up to. Let's just move that a little bit. Yeah, just on the right, just disappears. Yeah, so there we go. Now then, you've got the VM there. If you go onto settings, what you should have pop up in front of you then. There we go. It says, oh. Right, let's name it something a bit more informative, Mr. Robot. Right, first thing I noticed there, I've got an alert that there's invalid settings. If I hover over that, it actually tells you what's wrong. So my display is set to something it shouldn't be. It should be on BMS VGA. I saw that straight away. See here, and that alert disappears. So going through here, not much I'd tweak. I'd give it a little bit more memory so that it runs just a little bit quicker. Processor for this machine, 1 is more than enough as long as you've got a decent machine VirtualBox to sit on. Display already sorted there. A lot of machines, it's worth ramping this video memory up to 128 meg. Perhaps not as essential with this one, but it's become a bit of a habit. Makes display just run that tiny bit more, and probably nothing else to fiddle with for now. So let's just click OK. See it's renamed. If I look in the settings, yep, they've stuck, and then it's just a case of clicking start. And what we should have pop up there we go. Nice little screen telling us that Mr. Robot's firing up, doing its thing. And if you give it a moment or two, you get a proper screen there. First boot's always a little bit slower. Not worth a pause. So keep going, keep going, keep going. Just wait that tiny bit longer. And there you go. Now it says there's a login. Don't worry about it. This isn't really a machine to log into. Right, here we are, back in Kali. I'm using a VirtualBox version of it today. Wait, so that little menu thing at the top here. Yeah, just updated it while you weren't looking. Click on the pin there and get that to disappear out of the way. Right, this is the kind of setup I usually work with. Got my folder, my projects folder with my Mr. Robot in it. I have a blank file, notes, and what I would do is open the terminal in that window. Yeah, you can see I've got documents, projects, Mr. Robot. First thing I'm going to do is try and find out the IP of the Mr. Robot machine. So we're going to use something called Net Discover. So Net Discover, TACR for the range 192.168.0.1. And why have I put that? Why have I put 1? Because I'm going to do /24. This is actually going to scan my entire network I'm connected to, or internal network on the 192.168.0 dot whatever range. And it's 24 simply because if you look, we've got 4 sets of numbers there in binary that be represented at a machine level. We have 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. So in total, what we've got is 24 bits. So this 24 is effectively putting a line through between the 0 and 1, and the 1, it's going to look at all the variations of 192.168.0 dot 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, all the way up to 2.55. Occasionally you might see a 16, 8 and 8, so 16, and it would look for 192.168.1 dot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 2255. Then it would look for 192.168.2 dot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and keep incrementing this second digit here from 0 all the way up to 255, and then on each occasion 0 to 255 down this end. Domestically, we're usually looking for /24. That's called cider notation. But I frequently forget to do is sudo for this. You see how my cursor just jumped to the start there. That's Control A. Control E to the end. Pop your password in, so sudo, and wait just a little while. I have noticed once or twice when it comes up as finished, and then still find something else on the network. So I usually just leave it open and running for a little bit while I sort of scan my results so far. I know what most of these are already. And if I look down here, there's a damn good chance. Okay, so I don't recognise that one, that we're on .12. Is it reachable? Yeah. Okay, so we found our machine. And in here, 192.168.0, oops, 12. What I think it is. So let's look, nothing fresh has appeared. I'm fairly sure it's 12. Right, then we're going to scan the machine, see what ports are open. So we're using nmap for this. Nmap 192.168.0.12. Just a very basic scan to start with. No point wasting minutes and minutes with more complicated scans to get results that suggest it's not a Mr. Robot machine. Right. Yep. So what it's come up with, it's told us that the 3 ports there, port 22, which it says is closed. That means it's not there. It's not. Pardon me. It's not open. So port 22 closed. The service that runs is SSH. Why does it scan that? Well, the basic nmap scan will just check for what you'd call popular ports. Yeah? So 22, popular, 80, 443, all popular. If we look at port 80, which is HTTP, you can see that's open. So it's got a web service. 443, which is HTTPS, that's also open. And these kind of say to me, there's a web service running there. Let's take a look at that, shall we? One 192.168.0.12. Yep, a web service. It's some kind of fake. I'm loading up a screen. Let that run. I'll let you watch that for a second. Yeah, give me a bit of info. There's lots of blurb all over the place on the Mr. Robot machine. There's a few commands for you. They don't really tell you much. Right, now we've got this open. I'm not going to bother with 443 and see what that does just yet. 80 is a little bit easier to work with. One thing you should always do, because it can provide just that tiny bit of extra information. You can see there, I've added to the URL after 12 /robots.txt. Now, just because it's called robots doesn't mean it's just particular to this machine. You can include a little file called robots.txt in the root of your server that will basically say to all the crawlers that index your site, Google will be trying, don't look at these bits, these parts of my site. So if I press enter, wonderful, we've actually got some information there. I won't bother with the user agent, but 2 files it's listed for web crawlers not to look at. I'm going to pop them on my file. Yeah. And this one obviously jumps out at us for some reason or other. Pop that in there. And looky. We've got what looks like garbage. So let's pop that down there. And copy that too. And we'll come back to that. Right. F Society Dick. Sometimes you'll see that extension Dick, short for dictionary, which does kind of suggest something to me, but let's take a look. Oh, yeah. A long file list. I'll probably go away and try and download that, but if I just Control A, yep, got all that. Go back to my folder, create a new document, F so city.dic, open that up, paste all of that in there. It says it took a bit of while, I'm guessing, just because it's probably fairly long and fairly sizable, messing around in memory. So if I save that, let's take a look at it. .8 meg. I think I've probably copied that twice. Easily done if everything's running slowly. Let's see if it's going to fill in again for me. Must be just a memory thing. There we go. Let's save that. 6.9 meg. It's kind of what I remembered. Right, what else can we do here? Well, I'm going to take a look at that F60 thing in a short while. But, right, let's take a look at our options here. I'm going to mention Buster first. Start it from the command line. It's also available in your menu as well. It's here. Yeah. Derb and Derbuster. But just looking at Derbuster for the moment. Derbuster has a graphical interface. I think it runs a little bit slower than Derb, even though they're pretty much doing the same thing. And here you type HTTP 192.168.0.12. I always click the go faster. 10 threads is not enough. We're choosing list-based brute force, so we're going to be using a dictionary. And you're going to find, whoops, you go to root, user, USR, share, and then way across to the far end, yep, we should find word lists. This isn't the greatest dialog box to work with, some top tips. Just click in somewhere in there and start typing word lists, and it'll find it for you. Let's open that. Let's look at Dirbuster. My usual choice is directory list 2/3 medium. There we go. It's going to look for directories. It's going to look for files. It's going to work its way through folder systems. It's going to be recursive. Starts with root and file extensions, looking for PHP. So it's going to look for pages. Yeah, I could put text in there and so on, but let's just start with PHP because I'm not going to run this for very long. Yeah, plenty going on in the CLI there. That's background stuff, but it's taken me to a results page. Now this is still running, and there we go. You can see what it's looking for, and the response is there. 403 not found. We're looking for the 200s really. You can already see it's starting to give us some clues as to what's going on. WP login. Yeah, WordPress login page. So this is quite certainly a WordPress site. Yeah, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to stop it because I'd like to run Derb as well. So it's still doing some stuff in the background. If I go here, here, and then paste that, all being well, we'll have a WordPress login page. Yes, there we go. But we'll ignore that for just the moment. Yeah, let's close Dirbuster down. I'm going to clear this screen. Let's Control L. I could type clear, and that'll do the same thing, but a long time ago, big fan of shortcuts. So, Derb do very much the same thing. Let's see, I've already had a go. Just put in Derb and HTTP :// then our IP address. It will run. You can see there from user share, it's gone into the Derb directory, looking at its word lists, and it's got a dictionary or word list called common. That's going to work its way through all that dictionary, looking for what's actually on the site, see if it can get to it. Now I'm going to pause this just for a minute, let it run for a while, and then I'll come back. As you can see, it's still going, and this has been a while. It's definitely faster and perhaps a little bit more informative at this size to take a look through. Let's see if anywhere it's to sitemap. That could be useful. Yeah, it's the same. WordPress. Some RSS feeds. The robots text, and it's still going. I'm going to stop that there with Control C. Really, that WordPress login is probably the best find in that. And that would really be our next line to follow up on, really. I'm going to show you something called Buster. It's not installed on this machine. But it gives me the option to install it. So let's go. There is a separate link. I include in the links for you. Go to the GitHub page. Password, because it's sudo. It's installed in Buster and something called sec lists as well. Sec lists, there's all sorts of dictionaries and lists for finding passwords and directories and files and things. let's install that. Shouldn't take too long. What I did want to show you was something that I prefer, and it's called Ferox Buster. I already know I've got command typed in, ready to go. There you are. If we look at this, requires root privileges. So sudo Ferox Buster, it's tac URL. That tells it this is the address to go and have a look at. Then tac w is the word list. Just remember, user share word lists, derb, common, just an option. There are many dictionaries, and I suggest also downloading sec lists as well. Give you some more lists and dictionaries to work with. If I run this, you'll perhaps see what I think are advantages to this. Let it run for a minute. You can see underneath the banner a little bit of information, tells you what we're looking at, how many threads. I can alter that if I want to, which word list I'm using, which status codes to display. So I've got 200s, 403s, 404s, 301s, timeout for dead links. The user agent, it's telling the Mr. Robot machine that we are. Look for links, it's a HTTP, it's using get to find those addresses of directories, files, etc. And it's got a recursion depth of 4, so plough through 4 folders to see what's through, or try to, based on what it finds using the dictionary. So this is very much the what's going on currently. Let's see what it's found for you. And there's the behind the scenes, what it's looking at. So at the moment it's saying it's found 13 links, those are these. And these errors are just things it hasn't found, say a directory with some bizarre file name. So don't worry so much about the errors, they're not really errors. It's something in the common text that it's not been able to find. And then as we go down here, a bit more of what's going on underneath the hood. So it's gradually working its way through 192.168.0.12. See that of 4,614 possibles, it's got through just over 1,200 nodes, and so on down through the list, depending on what directory it's looking at. Now, this isn't necessarily the best dictionary to use, but given its size, it's fairly quick, and you might find some useful results in the first place. But I like how it presents that information to you, rather than pages and pages and pages to reel through, like with derb. I think ferric oxide presents an awful lot better, and possibly about as fast as derb as well, though you can make it faster by increasing the threads. Remember, it was more obvious in Derbuster. We had 200. We've got a quarter of that at the moment. Yeah. Very well worth having a play with. Recommend it any time. So, we go back to the login page. And things we can do. We can have a look at the page source. Does it tell us anything secretive or interesting? This one doesn't. No, nothing really of interest there. What we can also do, let's try some common logins and see what error messages it gives us. It's time. Error, invalid username. It doesn't mention the password. That could be interesting. I'm using the password as password, all lowercase, each time. Let's see what it has to say. Here. Image and sticking away. No, invalid username. Right, what do we know? It's Mr. Robot. Real name Elliot. Let's try that with the password as password. See if we get an error message for this one. Now then, this is much more interesting. The password you entered for the username Elliot is incorrect. Doesn't mention anything about that being incorrect, but tells me that the password's wrong. So this is an easy way of kind of probing if you get useful error messages, useful to the hacker, to work out a username or a password if it's giving you that information here. It might be the password's correct and it keeps insisting that the username's wrong. I'm not sure that's totally accurate kind of thing to do, but I think you get the idea. It's telling us about username and password separately here, rather than you just enter the wrong details. So we'll keep that on our notepad. Username, password. I'm also going to grab the URL for that, rather than writing reams of notes. Coming back to this in a year's time, I'll be able to log in, password, username, looking for the password. Right, so how did we find that? Right, we're going to go back to that Society dict file, and we're going to take a little bit of a look at that. We have to question, why on earth was that there in the first place? Yeah, fairly sizable. Let's open it up. Okay. Oh, got Elliot as a password. If we use this, yeah, lots of clues that this could be a list of possible passwords. So we're going to do something with this 6.9 meg text file. Is pretty sizable. Even if we have a password here, if it's right down at the end, 858,000. That's going to take a long time to get down there. So we're going to have a look at reducing this file size if we can. Right. Got this lovely long file. We can note 6.9 megabytes in size. What we're going to do is unique it. So this command will go through all of that dictionary, and if there are duplicate words in there, it will remove them. Okay. We've got unique, dict, and an output file, which we will call uname. Whoops, nearly forgot. Right. Now we've got something that's 94.5 kilobytes in size. Yeah. I haven't chosen the best extension for that, so I'm going to rename it. You can see how fast that loaded up, much more manageable. If you look at just the slider on the side, you can see it goes down to 858,000. Now when it goes down to 11,400, it's still a lot, but an awful lot less and no duplicates. We could, if we really wanted to, sort that into alphabetical order. Don't think I'm going to do that right now, simply because if we don't know what the password is, say, begins with, It could be any one of these. We could put it in alphabetical order and still don't want it with a Z password at the bottom. So let's leave it at that, shall we? But if you did want to sort it, the command is sort. Yep, you can see just to the screen at the moment. Let's put that into alphabetical order for me. I'm going to make a file of that. Right arrow, so it'll output it to society dic, unique, and let's call it, whoops, sorted. And then you saw that appear then, didn't you? Should be 94.5, yep, kilobytes in size. So we've got one that's in any old order, and then one that's actually in alphabetical order there too. Right, so the first thing you're going to notice is, well, you should notice, oops, and I've forgotten one, is that the IP has changed. I'm back recording this a few days later. So what we do have is a new IP that's been assigned to the Mr. Robot VM by my DHCP. I could set it as permanently back to 12 address, but we're not here that long, so always worth double checking that your IP is still current. So we've got this dictionary here, a list of words. Now I could use this perhaps to find out what's possibly the password for usernames, but we have no username. Right, so if we take a look, so we're going to use Elliot as the username, and we need to find out what the password is. So we're going to use a program called Hydra. That previously doesn't help, so let's, oops. There we go. Lots of options there for you. But what Hydra is going to do is take a login and a password and try and pass it through to the page we'll tell it to, and work its way through, in this case, a long list of possible passwords with one username. And it'll do that automatically rather than us sitting there typing all the time. So let's clear this. I'd like a little bit of space to work with. See, I've already had a dabble with this. It's a little bit complicated at times to kind of pull together. So, in its basic form, there's a couple more bits to add to this, but we're going to run Hydra. Lowercase l is the username, and uppercase L would be a long list of usernames. Yeah, like we've done here with the password. Small p, very specific password like password, or uppercase P, and we're specifying the file to work through. Now, because if we look again, yeah, we're posting this in terms of HTTP. Yeah, we're posting rather than getting. So one of the things we are going to do is make this request from Hydra into an HTTP. Yeah, it's in that. We're just on port 80. It's HTTP. It's a form that we're posting to, and that's the address. Now then, it's just a little bit more to it than that. Amended this. Forgive me, I've been tapping away and changing things and doing all sorts off screen. I'll change this ever so slightly. So it's Hydra P. For some reason, for the actually I've got that backwards, haven't I? Lowercase l, the username, uppercase P, the password. Oops, that's uppercase at all. Yes, it is. So there's our dictionary, there's our IP, there's the form, the way, the protocol, whatever you want to call it, that we're posting to. So it's HTTP, it's a post form, so we're putting data on there. And here's the login page. You see that? So it's told it where to go for that HTTP post. It's the WP login PHP page. Now these bits here might seem a bit unusual. Log equals user and pwd password equals pass. And the password you enter for the username Elliot is incorrect. So if we go back to this page, that last part is the error message. So what Hydra knows is that if it gets that, then it's not logged in. It's not the correct password. It's looking for the error message. Yeah? And log equals user and password equals pass. A couple of ways to find this. Oops. Not that one. Page source. We can rummage our way down through this, and it's a little tricky to pick out. So password pwd. What do we put there? Find it. Oops. pwd password. What else are we looking for? There we go. Sorry, I was looking down, not up. There we are. So it's describe the login form. And then some preamble, input, type, text, name, log. That is the user login. So name, log. You go down, able to use password, input type, password, name, pwd. These are the two values you're looking for. Log, pwd. The user and pass remain the same all the time. So let's see if that works. It's told me it's found 16 valid passwords. Right, so if we run this, we get this, and that looks a bit odd to me. This is usually an indication that your Hydra command has some errors in it. Why on earth would Elliot have all these many passwords? Here's one I made earlier. Hydra, username, list of passwords, IP address, method that we're going to be sending this, dealing with this data. We're going to post it to this address. Log is the user, pwd is the password, and here, the bit I often forget, F equals, that's the error bit. Yeah, failure if you like, it's an easy way to remember it, so colon F equals the password you entered for the username. Now, been truncated because it will take the variable that we've entered as log or the username. That could be anything. In this case, yes, it's Elliot, but it's complicating things just a little bit. And I've added this on the end. You can speed it up with different number of threads, slow it down if you think your brute force is a little bit too noisy. Perhaps you're running through it and getting no actual valid passwords at all. You may have to slow it down. There may be some mechanism on the web page you're attacking that would lock you out after 10 attempts or 5 attempts, or will detect that you're trying to log in with the same username 30 times a second. Let's clear this page, and I'm going to set that right. Now, I always think it's a good sign when there appears to be no output. Yeah, if you let it run for a while, you'll get some feedback from it, particularly as it nears the end of the list of passwords, and hopefully at the end you then get password found. So we'll leave this running for a bit and we'll come back. And we're back trying to get this password for the username Elliot. Hydra's starting to give some feedback now. So in 1 minute, it's tried 1,746 times to log in. 9,706 left to do, and it thinks that'll take 6 minutes, confirming it was 30 threads active. We'll pause it again and come back at the end, see what Hydra's given us. And there we have it. So, just have to tell this we've got about 6 minutes left. There's another report that we've got about 4 minutes left. And port 80, HTTPS form, your IP address, login Elliot, and it's spit it out the password there. Copy that before I lose it. Save my file. So if we go there and paste in that password, let's see if it'll log us in. A little bit of whirring. Go on, let us in. Ta-da! We're in. The next step we're going to take is we're going to create a reverse shell here. Probably one of the more straightforward options with the WordPress site. Right, we're back again. So, we know how to log in, we know how to retrieve the password, being that we've got the password file. So we've logged in. What we're going to go to is Appearance and Editor. There. If I click on 404 template, page not found. Yeah. See message, oops, that page can't be found. We're going to get rid of all that. Delete it. And this is going to put some PHP code that gets a reverse shell. I use revshells.com. It's quite nice. Pop in your own IP, the port you want to use. And I'm going to be using Netcat. It even tells you the command to type to listen for a reverse connection. So I copy all of this code down here, bring it back here. I'm going to paste that there. Actual update file, so it's saved. You can see here that command, let's see, on the NP is going to provide us with a listener. Okay. So when I execute this code, this code, the remote machine on the Mr. Robot machine, what it will do, in simplest terms, is look for machine with that IP address, which is mine, and it will start looking for port 9422. Which is what I've put here. You can see just listening, waiting. Now then, I want this to run and to call back. If you look at the top of your address, it's open an admin, theme editor, another PHP page. And there's a query that pulls the file 404 from that seed, blah blah blah. What I'm going to do with this is now chop off the end and just so I've got WP admin /404 PHP. Press return. Oh, blank page. Looks like there's a problem with this side. The problem is, I've now got a reverse shell. It's listening, waiting for connection, and then gets a connection. Our 08 address. Tells us a few things about the machine that's connected to us. Then tells us kind of who we are. Our ID is Demon. We're in a group called Damon, if you like. Sorry, group ID is Damon, and we're in a group called Damon. Now I'm going to keep a copy of that code. Yeah, it's the pen test monkey one. Let's create a document, empty file. Let's call it rev shell. Pop that there. Save it. Useful to keep. Those trying to remember. Yes, I may well be able to use that on another WordPress site. So let's change IPs probably and things like that, but always useful to come back to. Right, so we're into Mr. Robot Machine. This is not a very useful shell to have. Demon is a group ID, one Demon, and the group we belong to is Demon. We need to make this interactive so we can do a few things with it. I pre-type this. I always get it wrong, make mistakes with the punctuation. It's one of the commands on my cheat sheet. Eventually it will imprint in my head, but you kind of use it once, maybe twice during a hack. You're not typing it all the time like some other commands. So when I return that, if you notice, got a dollar symbol there. Now we've got an interactive shell because we're Damon at Linux, and then the dollar side, indicating we're root there at the moment as well. Now this, yes, we're in root. Useful to have. So let's list root. We can. Nope, won't let us. And there's robot. Okay. Key number 2. Let's just do some copy in here. So we're gonna cat that key 2 of 3. Text. Permission denied. Cat. Let's do some cutting and pasting. Password. Oh, nice. So you've got the username and what has to be a hash password. Very, very useful. So let's paste that there. Made myself a file here, preemptively, for John. I'm going to paste that robot colon and the hashed password in there, make sure I save it. And I'm going to open up another terminal. It's nice and good there. And we're going to use a program called Johnny. If you type Johnny like that, it stays white. Press return anyway, it'll offer you the option to install it. You may already have it installed in Kali. Let's maximise that. Right, open the password file. There's PAWS format. Quite happy to have that username colon hash password. gives you some information there about the hash. Can't seem to drag and make these columns any bigger, smaller. Hey ho. And in options, first thing I'd say, choose a word list. I'm going to go for quite a sizable but not massive word list, and users, share, and then I start typing word lists, narrows it down nicely for me. I select to see all files because the one I want is Rocky. There we go. That's something to be mindful and careful of here. Helps is what type of hash is your password. Now I happen to know here it won't let me move the columns around. MD5, MD5 raw, it talks about MD5 a lot. I'm going to go and change this, particularly as the file name we got the hash from was called raw MD5, and select that. Back to passwords to see the results. Not yet because we haven't started the attack. And here, start new attack. And you saw how fast that was. Johnny's remarkably fast. So I'll take that password. And robot. Yeah, that kind of looks like it's likely. Copy that password. We can shut Johnny down, I think. Yeah, with Control C. Yep, there he goes, disappears. And close that whole terminal down now. Because here, what I am going to do is SU robot. Password. And suddenly I'm robot at Linux. Robot folder, no. So it's CD robot ls at key 2 of 3 text, and we've got the third key. I think I did actually write them all down. So key 1 of these there. Let's copy that. Let's move key 2. Oops. So we've got key 2 of 3. Now then, there's another command, again a bit tricky to type, but worth having on your crib sheet. This command is going to look for binaries, executables, whatever you like to call them, that have what's called the S-bit set. This means that they will run as root regardless of which user you are. So we're going to find from the root all these things, and then what it'll do here is if it doesn't have the S-bit set, the SUID, it won't return a result, but if it does, then it will list those that are. So let's press return. It's quite a short list, and quite fast. But if we look through it, I can immediately see something that stands out to me. Something I don't usually see in this list, that's Nmap. And that's incredibly useful because Nmap has what's called an interactive mode. Not quite finished what I want to type there. Let's try that again. No, it's not liking how I'm doing that. So, what was it again? Off the page, use a local bin Nmap. So, what I want to type is user local bin m tag tag interactive. Lovely. Now you can see there, nmap is the command prompt. To run bash commands, exclamation mark, and then your command. So if I cat root, it's like to be called key 3 dot text. I jumped the gun, I could have listed, but and there you go. Key 3. Pop it in there. 1, 2, 3. And we finish the box.
Like and subscribe!